Jasmine, what's the title of our lesson today?
I can find.
What's the title of our lesson today?
Is 2.4 least common multiple.
And what should you be able to do now?
Find the LCM.
You can find LCM. We had a couple of vocab words, a multiple and least common multiple. I think they're fairly familiar to you. We talked about finding the LCM in how many different ways? How many different ways can you find the LCM, Sadia? How many ways can you find LCM, Sadia?
2 ways.
2 ways. Thank you. That's all I needed. You can find LCM using what, Laura?
Factor trees and lists.
Factor trees is one way, and lists is the second way. So an example of finding the LCM with lists is shown here. You just basically make a list of all the factors, starting with the very first factor of any number, which is itself. Second way would be using factor trees, and I think you guys are pretty darn good at factor trees. The problem or the difficulty with factor trees is right here. This rule right here that I'm circling is what you really, really, really need to understand after you have created your factor tree or prime factorization. So you find all common primes, you multiply them with whatever is left over. So my advice to you guys, as you can see in our examples, my advice when we go down to number, and there's a couple of examples, we go down to a problem like number 6, is I just gave you the prime factorization, as you can see right here and right here. And my advice was to write it out in the long way and then establish what your common primes are. So you guys told me that this 5 and this 5 were a common prime, and this 5 and this 5 were a common prime. And you told me that this 3 and this 3 were a common prime, right? So we got a 5, a 5, and a 3. And then the numbers that were left over were another 5, another 7, and a 2, which are listed right there. You multiply them all together, and you have your LCM for that particular prime factorization. We don't know what the numbers were because I just gave you the prime factorization, but it works. When we go back up to real-world examples, we talked about stocking hot dog buns and hot dogs at a grocery store. If you are the person in charge or the manager, you need to know how to schedule your employees based upon when shipments of hot dogs and hot dog buns are coming in. So if we have hot dogs coming in every 2 days, girls, and we have hot dog buns coming in every 3 days, we need to know the LCM to figure out who to schedule or how to schedule hours in the future.
Yep.
Okay, and for those of you wondering what the heck is Mr. Podger talking about, just think back to the Jesse example. When Jesse was the stock boy, that should help you remember. Okay? Anything else before I stop the video?
Nope.
Question?
We should have the common primes are only with 2 numbers, different numbers.
Okay, so common primes, going backwards here a little bit. Common primes. When listing common primes, I'll use the last example here. So we have the long version and the long version. We have a common prime of 11 and a common prime of 11. You only list that one time. You don't list it more, you don't list it twice. And they have to be opposite numbers. So there's 11 over here and 11 over there. They have to be opposite numbers in order to be considered common prime. They can't be part of the same number.